Hello friends, and welcome back to my channel, and welcome to another episode of Vlogmas. For today's video, we are going to be starting a new series over on my channel, which is the How to Be Your Own Best Friend series. I'm not sure if that's the name that we're gonna stick with, but throughout the new year in 2022, and of course today, I want to put out some videos on some tips and tricks on how you can be your own best friend, maybe some things that you can do at home or some journal prompts, etc. And the subject of today's video is how you can speak more kindly to yourself. If you have any other specific topics or ideas for this kind of series, then make sure to leave them in the comments down below. But without further ado, let's get on with the video. So unfortunately, I think that it is very common practice for people to speak very unkindly to themselves. We all have this inner critic, we all have an ego, and there is this very popular saying that says your harshest critic is always going to be yourself. And this is a very common saying for a reason. Every single person that I know has been unkind to themselves at some point in their lives, and to be completely frank, are still unkind to themselves. I spent most of my life being my worst enemy. I criticized everything that I did. Nothing was ever good enough. I was never good enough. And in the end, it led me to have very poor self-esteem and also take out my pain and frustration on others. When you are very kind to yourself, you want to spread that kindness to other people as well. You're less irritable, you're more joyful, and overall, you're just a better person. But I understand that it can be quite a struggle to speak kindly to ourselves. First things first, I just want to say that you haven't always spoken to yourself unkindly. We don't come into this world full of harsh critiques on who we are and what we do. While we work through those negative thoughts that you have about yourself, I think that it's really important to kind of be curious about where these thoughts come from in the first place. Did they come from a parent? Did they come from a toxic friend? Did they come from social media influence? The negative thoughts that we have about ourselves are from situations or from examples or from interpersonal contact. Ask yourself who made you feel these things in the first place. If you consistently tell yourself that you are not good enough, we have those feelings and thoughts from someplace else. Try to pinpoint where they come from. That is going to be different for everybody. But the thing is that we don't want to give other people the control and power when it comes to how we view ourselves. Just because somebody thinks something about me doesn't mean that I have to completely embody that personality or that view. Your happiness and what you think of yourself is the most important thing, not what other people think. The thing is, when we speak very unkindly to ourselves, we create a lot of shame. Shame in who we are, in what we do, in what we like. Shame is just everywhere. And of course, we are going to believe these thoughts. It's not your fault. If we have these thoughts on a consistent basis, of course we're gonna believe them. We believe whatever we repeat. I'm gonna say that one more time. We believe what we repeat. So if I think that I'm not good enough, and I repeat that to myself on a daily basis, of course I'm going to believe that. And the thing is, the more our brain repeats messages, the more we look for evidence to support those messages. And does that mean that those messages are true? Absolutely not. All that it means is that we're focusing on it. So for example, I give this one all the time, but if I recently get my nails done, my attention towards strangers and towards other people in public is probably going to be looking at their nails as well. We also see this in people who are newly engaged. Before, they never paid attention to other people's engagement rings, and now that is something that they are looking for or looking at. We seek out what we focus on. Same thing for bodies. If we think that our body is not good enough, we're constantly going to be comparing ourselves to other people that we see out in the open. So our minds are always seeking what we repeat. But just because we have this sort of negative, toxic headspace up here does not mean that it is too late for you or that we cannot transform those thoughts. That is absolutely bullshit. We can transform our thoughts whenever we want. So one of the first steps, and something that I've spoken about endlessly on my channel, the first thing that you need to do is notice your toxic thought patterns in the first place. What are you saying to yourself? I think tracking your thoughts for a day is an amazing tool just to see the sort of messaging that is going on in your brain, the sort of communication that you have with yourself, and try to pinpoint some things that you say on a daily basis or on a weekly basis. So if you're always criticizing your body, that would be a thought for us to work on. If you are always calling yourself a failure, then that would be something to work on as well. And of course, we don't just have one toxic thought, but many of them are paired and grouped together. So we just kind of want to pull them to the surface and have them within our realm of awareness. So one of the first things that we are going to attempt to do, that we are going to try to do, is stop ourselves when we are being critical. My favorite tip is just to literally say stop out loud. I know that this isn't always applicable if we have people around, but just saying stop in your mind, saying it out loud, writing it down, whatever we've got to do, we want to make sure that those words come out. And at first, you're probably going to be saying stop quite often, multiple times a day, hundreds of times a day, and that's okay. It gets annoying, but it's really important to stop these critical thoughts in their tracks. We can also say something like, that is unhelpful, that is untrue, whatever floats your boat. It's going to take time and practice in order for you to catch these thoughts on a consistent basis. Many of them are going to sneak through the cracks. Many of them will still be there, and that is okay. That is normal. We are not perfect because perfect does not exist. This is new, right? This whole idea of speaking kindly to ourselves is a very new thing, so it's going to take time. Give yourself that time and be gentle with yourself too. In my previous videos, I've spoken about how important it is to separate yourself from, your eating disorder voice. And right now, when it comes to speaking to yourself kindly, we also want to separate our inner critic from who we are as well. It is not us. We want to kind of see it as a separate entity. Every time a critical thought comes up, we have two options. The first option is to say stop, to say that is unhelpful, to say that is untrue. And the second option is to replace it with something more positive or something more neutral. So for example, if the thought is, you're never going to accomplish anything, we can replace that with a more neutral or positive thought, which is, I am capable of anything I put my mind to. It doesn't have to be as elaborate as that. It could literally be anything at all, but we want to do at least one of those two things. Something that gave me a lot of perspective when I was trying to be my own best friend and speak more kindly to myself was imagining that my thoughts were spoken out loud to another individual. It's very helpful to do this as a visualization exercise as well. But imagine one of your friends or somebody that you care deeply about sitting opposite you and just telling them all of the things that you say to yourself. That they are useless, that they are ugly, that they will never amount to anything in their life. You would be a very toxic friend. Very, very toxic. We know that we would never say that to another individual. You have to treat yourself just like you treat other people. The most important person in your life is you. You are the foundation to every single relationship that you will have throughout your entire life. And if you don't have a strong relationship with yourself, I promise you that the other relationships that you have will also suffer. And of course, we don't want to do this just to please other people or just to be a better version, for our partners or our friends or our family. We want to do this for ourselves. So ask yourself, would I say this to a friend? Would I say this to a child? If the answer is no, then you should absolutely not be saying this to yourself either. Easier said than done, but we had to put that out there. So what do we do when speaking kindly to ourselves gets hard? Because it will. It's new, it's gonna feel strange, it's not gonna feel normal, but what do? First things first, we wanna make kindness one of our priorities. This starts as soon as you wake up. When you wake up, you can strike a power pose if you want in front of the mirror, you can pull out your journal, you could just look at the ceiling, but we want to attempt to say 3 kind things about ourselves. And we want to do this frequently. And at first, you're not going to want to do it, but you have to do it anyway. It's going to feel strange, it's gonna feel weird, but that's when the work is happening, okay? So set an alarm on your phone. If you want, pause this video, set a daily alarm for you to just stop what you're doing and to give yourself 3 compliments, 3 affirmations, whatever it is. Do this for 1 month without fail, and let me know if you feel any different. There's no harm in trying. Something else that we are going to do when things get hard is to focus on our strengths, because even if we're very cruel to ourselves, deep down, we know that we are good at some things. We know that we have our strengths. So what are yours? If you feel comfortable, you can share them in the comments. You can say them out loud, whatever you've got to do, but focus on things that you believe you are good at. Something else that we can do is to take action, take control. This is your life. It's nobody else's life, it's yours. And you know what? You've got to start acting like this is your life, like this is the life you want to live. What do you want your mind to think of you? Say it out loud. What do you want your mind to think? How often do you actually think those things about yourself? Probably not that often. Write them down, make a list, journal, whatever we've got to do, but we want to at least speak those things into existence. So if you want to be kind, then we want to say out loud, I want to be a kind person. Or even better, I am a kind person, even if we don't believe in it yet. Because here's the thing, I know that I'm kind. I know that I am hardworking. I know that I am worthy of other people's time, attention, and respect. How do I know these things? Because I tell myself on a daily basis. Every single day, or when I doubt myself, I'm the person who picks myself back up. I don't try to get exterior validation from other people. Sometimes we need that, but the first person we should turn to when shit hits the fan or things are getting hard is yourself. So whatever you want to hear from other people, you say to yourself. Also, something that we are going to work on is I want you to notice the way you speak about other people. Typically, our inner critic is going to use other people to either make us feel better about ourselves or to make us feel shittier about ourselves. It's a game of comparison. We are either comparing ourselves to somebody who makes us feel inferior, but on the darker side, we also see other people, we compare ourselves to them, and we believe that we are better than them for whatever reason. Take other people out of the equation and also change the way that we view and speak about other people. We tend to make a lot of judgments that really aren't grounded in evidence by any means. Give people the benefit of the doubt. Understand that we all have our own blueprint when it comes to life. We cannot be doing the same thing at the same time. Just because so-and-so bought a house doesn't mean that you are less than them. Just because so-and-so is having a kid and you aren't, doesn't mean that you are less than them. Just because somebody is working in a low-paying job and you aren't, doesn't make you better than that person. We want to strip back those black and white thoughts of either I'm good or I'm bad or I'm better or I'm worse. We are all different. They are them, you are you. That is what we want to say over and over again. Stay in your own lane and focus on what you want and not what other people want or what other people are doing. When it comes to your self-love journey and this journey to becoming your own best friend, other people aren't important. You are important. And we have to start treating yourself like you are the priority and not other people. Throughout this process, our mind is going to be a battleground. We're gonna go one way and step on a grenade, and we're gonna go the other way, and there's going to be another obstacle in our way. When we are at war, we want an ally, we want a friend. We do not want an enemy. So if our mind is already vicious, you have to be the one to fight against it. You have to be your own ally. And again, a lot of this is repetition, and a lot of this is doing things that you don't actually want to do or saying things that you don't actually believe in. But the more we repeat things, the more they become actual reality. Stand up to yourself. Just because you think something doesn't make it true. Just because some people think that the earth is flat doesn't make it true. Focus on the facts at hand, not the made up evidence that our inner critic is going to try to seek or make up in our minds, but focus on reality. So if your inner critic says, well, you're always going to fail at everything, ask yourself if that's true. Have you ever succeeded at something? The chances of that being true is very, very high. Haven't we all failed at something at some point? Yeah, absolutely. And I don't want to hear, oh, I've failed at everything, I've never succeeded, because that is not true. Not true at all. Dig deeper, be more honest with yourself, and stop playing the woe is me tune. Many people I know, we have a very victim mentality, that the world is against us, that everybody has it better than we do. And this mentality is only hurting us. It does not help anybody else. We tell ourselves a specific story every single time we get out of bed in the morning. Every single day we have the opportunity to change the way that we view ourselves. Does that mean that we can just wake up and love ourselves? Absolutely not. But on the other hand, we can make an active decision to try to actively fight against the voice that is telling us to hate ourselves by saying things like, no, that is not true, whatever it might be. We have to make choices. You have a choice. And of course, there are other obstacles that can get in our way, but we just want to try to put our best foot forward every single day. We also want to understand the power of our words. Oftentimes, we don't take what we say to ourselves that seriously. We think that it's very normal to talk down to ourselves, that it's very normal to be very critical. And even though it is normal, it doesn't make it right. And it doesn't make it okay. If we said the things that we say to ourselves to somebody else as often as we say it to ourselves on a daily basis, that person would try to get away from us as fast as possible. We would be toxic, we would be hurtful, we would be harmful. And that's because it's impossible to be your own best friend when you are speaking negatively to yourself. Just like it's impossible to have a best friend that continuously puts you down all the time. They are not your friend. And we don't want to settle for a friend like that, just like we don't want to settle for the treatment that we are currently giving to ourselves. And as I said, this isn't an overnight process. This is gonna take months, potentially years. And that's okay because we've got the time. We've got the time. Hard things are worth fighting for. But becoming your own best friend starts right here. It starts with how you talk to yourself. It all starts with you, baby. Okay, it all starts with you. And I know it can be daunting and overwhelming to catch ourselves in these thoughts, to replace them, to tell ourselves to stop, to do these visualization exercises, but it's helpful. It might be painful and annoying, but it's helpful. And we want to live a life where we are encouraging ourselves and not tearing ourselves down at every given opportunity. Anyway, I hope that this video helps give you a stable starting place and maybe something to think about going into this new year as well, 2022. If you are excited about this series, let me know in the comments down below, or again, if you have any suggestions. I'm so thankful for every single one of you. I can't believe that we're almost at the end of Vlogmas 2021. It feels a bit surreal, to be completely honest. But anyway, if you like videos like this, make sure to give me a thumbs up, and also make sure to do something kind for yourself today, okay? Okay. Bye, friends.